In this next video, we're going to be doing another example of using a data set to find mean, median, mode, range, and outlier, and then deciding which one best represents the data. In this data set, I have maybe what looks like test scores on a recent test or quiz. And so for this one, to find mean, we always find mean the same way. We add up all our numbers. So 85 plus 86 plus 84 plus 85 plus 100 plus 54 plus 30 plus 87 plus 83. Oop, and I'm missing an 88 in there. So make sure you get them all. So I'm going to add them all. Again, I'm going to be extra careful on my calculator. 85 plus 86 plus 84 plus 88 plus 100 plus 54 plus 30 plus 87 plus 83 is, I'm getting 697. And then I'm going to count how many values there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. So I'm going to do 697 divided by 10. Anytime I divide by 10, my decimal point just moves over to the left one. So in this case, my mean score is a 69 7/10%. When we think about all these numbers, a lot of them are in the 80s, and our mean shows a mean of 69 7/10%. So I want you to start thinking about which measure of central tendency best represents the data. Does this really represent the data well? Because when I look at this, I see 2 values smaller than this number, and I see 8 values bigger than this. So is this really the best way to show all the data? I'm not sure. To find median, we always do the same thing. We order the numbers least to greatest and find the middle. So we have 30, 54, 83, 84, 85 is listed twice, 86, 87, and 87 is only listed once, 88, and 100. So in this case, we are going to, I'm going to cross off the biggest and the smallest, the next biggest, the next smallest, the next biggest, the next smallest, the next biggest, the next smallest. And when I get to the middle, if I cross these two out, then I'm left with nothing. So I have 2 middle numbers. In this case, because both middle numbers are the same, our median is 85. But normally we would find the mean of the two by adding these 2 numbers and then dividing by how many there are. We can still do that. 85 plus 85 is 170. Divided by 2 is still 85. So our median, our middle number here is 85. Our mode is the number that occurs most often. Now sometimes it's important for us to know sometimes there is no mode. If all the numbers only occurred once, then there's no mode. Other times there can be more than one mode. So we're going to talk about that and we're going to continue to talk about that. But in this case, the mode is 85 because it is shown more than once. It's the only number that's shown twice. And out here, I'm just going to write could be none or more than one. So mode is one of those things. It could be no mode, it could be one mode, it could be more than one mode. So our range is always our biggest minus our smallest. When we did median, we found our biggest and smallest 130. So 100 minus 30 is 70. So we have a range of scores that range 70% here. Outlier is a number much bigger or much smaller. In terms of our numbers, 100 was our biggest number. It's a little bit bigger than all those 80s, but not a ton bigger. 30 and 54 both almost seem like outliers to me. If you only want to list the most extreme, that's fine. So you could just list 30. I would also accept 30 and 54 here if you wanted to list them both, because they're both just very extreme compared to the rest of the data. So then, which measure of central tendency best represents the data? In this case, again, we're looking at all these test scores and thinking, which of these best shows how the class did? Did the class basically score a 69.7%? Did the class basically score an 85%? What would you give this class as a whole? And if it were me in my classroom, I would say that the mean is really affected by those outliers, 30 and 54. And so the mean is not our best measure of central tendency because of the outliers. It has some numbers that are too high and too low. 100 was a little high, 54 and 30 were a little too low for my liking. So when the data does have an outlier or outliers, we normally use median. So I would say median here again because of the outliers. At this point in time, I would really challenge you to try this last example on your own. Take these 6 numbers and find their mean, median, mode, range, outlier, and decide which one is best, and then watch the last video to see how you did.